A French film critic grabs the microphone at Cannes and tells David Carradine that Tarantino saved him, that without Kill Bill, nobody would remember his name, that he does not deserve to be standing on this stage. What David says in the next 30 seconds does not defend himself. It turns the insult into a standing ovation. Cannes, France, May 2004, Saturday evening, 9:47 p.m., the Palais des Festivals, the most prestigious film festival in the world. Red carpet stretching toward the Mediterranean Sea. Photographers stacked 10 deep. Flashbulbs exploding like stars. The smell of expensive perfume and cigarette smoke and ambition. Kill Bill Volume 2 just premiered. 12 minutes of standing ovation inside the theater. Uma Thurman crying. Quentin Tarantino taking bow after bow. The audience refusing to sit down. Refusing to stop applauding. Now the cast stands in the press area. 50 journalists with microphones and recorders. Cameras from every country. Questions shouted in French and English and Italian and Japanese. David Carradine stands at the end of the line. Black tuxedo. Silver hair pulled back. The oldest person on the stage, but somehow not out of place. Bill brought him here. Bill resurrected a career that everyone had written off. He has answered a dozen questions already. Polite questions. Softball questions. How did it feel to work with Tarantino? What was it like filming with Uma? Is this your favorite role? Easy answers. Practiced smiles. The publicity machine grinding forward. But then something changes. A man pushes through the crowd of journalists. 50 years old. Wire-rimmed glasses. Gray beard trimmed precisely. Expensive suit that screams Parisian intellectual. A press badge around his neck. Le Monde. One of the most respected newspapers in France. His name is Jean-Pierre Dumont. Film critic for 30 years. Famous for destroying careers with a single review. Famous for hating American cinema. Famous for asking questions that make actors cry. The other journalists see him coming. Some step aside. Some whisper warnings to each other. Dumont is here. Someone is about to bleed. Dumont does not wait to be called on. He pushes his microphone toward David and speaks in heavily accented English. Monsieur Carradine, I have a question that nobody else will ask. David turns, sees the intensity in the man's eyes, recognizes trouble. Please. Dumont clears his throat, speaks loudly enough for every camera to pick up. You are standing here tonight because Quentin Tarantino made a phone call. Without that phone call, where would you be? Making direct-to-video garbage in Romania. Signing autographs at conventions for $20. Forgotten by everyone who once pretended to care about your career. The press area goes quiet. Other journalists lowering their microphones. Sensing blood. Dumont continues. Tarantino saved you. This film saved you. You did not save yourself. You did not fight your way back. You simply answered the phone when a famous director called. Anyone could have done that. He pushes the microphone closer. So my question is this. Do you actually believe you deserve to be here? Or do you know in your heart that you are simply the lucky recipient of another man's nostalgia? Silence. 50 journalists waiting. Cameras rolling. The Mediterranean breeze carrying the question across the crowd. David looks at Jean-Pierre Dumont, sees the contempt, sees the challenge, sees a man who has made a career of breaking people down. But then David does something unexpected. He smiles. Not a defensive smile, not an embarrassed smile. A genuine smile of recognition. Monsieur Dumont, may I ask you a question before I answer yours? Dumont frowns. This is not how it works, I ask. You answer. Humor me. Dumont shrugs. Fine. David takes the microphone gently, holds it between them. How long have you been a film critic? Dumont straightens proudly. 32 years. And in those 32 years, how many films have you reviewed? Thousands. I do not keep count. David nods. Thousands of films. 32 years. And how many of those films were made by people who failed first, who made garbage before they made art, who were forgotten before they were remembered? Dumont hesitates. I do not understand the question. David's smile widens. Tarantino's first film was a disaster, never released. He worked in a video store for years before anyone cared. Scorsese made industrial films about hygiene before he made Taxi Driver. Kubrick made corporate documentaries. Every filmmaker you respect failed before they succeeded. He pauses. Why should actors be different? Dumont opens his mouth, closes it. You are correct, Monsieur Dumont. Tarantino saved me. I did not save myself. I answered a phone call and said yes to an opportunity I did not create. The journalists lean in, expecting collapse, expecting surrender. But then David turns the knife. But here is what I want to know. In 32 years of criticism, have you ever made anything? Have you ever stood on a stage and been judged? Have you ever failed publicly and had to decide whether to keep going or give up? Dumont's face reddens. That is not relevant. It is entirely relevant. You asked if I deserved to be here. Let me ask you the same question. What have you created that gives you the right to judge what others create? The crowd shifts, journalists exchanging glances. This is not how these confrontations usually go. I spent 20 years making films nobody watched. 20 years of rejection letters and cancelled projects, and people like you telling me I was finished. And every single day of those 20 years, I had a choice. Give up or continue. He hands the microphone back to Dumont. I chose to continue. Not because I knew Tarantino would call, not because I had some secret plan, because the alternative was admitting that the critics were right, that I was only as good as my last success. That failure meant the end. He looks directly into Dumont's eyes. You want to know if I deserve to be here. I do not know. Nobody deserves anything. But I can tell you this. I earned the chance to find out. 20 years of continuing when everyone said stop. 20 years of saying yes to bad films because they were better than no films. 20 years of refusing to let people like you decide when my story was over. He steps back. Tarantino did not save me, Monsieur Dumont. He recognized that I had saved myself. He saw 20 years of not quitting and decided that was worth something. The phone call was his gift. Everything that made me worth calling was mine. Silence, the Mediterranean wind, distant traffic, 50 journalists frozen. But then something happens that Jean-Pierre Dumont does not expect. Someone starts clapping, a journalist in the back, then another, then another. Within seconds, the entire press area is applauding. Not polite applause, real applause, the kind that means something. Dumont stands alone, microphone in hand. The man who came to destroy being drowned out by the sound of people choosing the other side. Uma Thurman is applauding. Quentin Tarantino is grinning. Even the French journalists who usually side with their countrymen are clapping. David Carradine bows slightly, not triumphant, not gloating, just acknowledging. Dumont lowers his microphone, steps back into the crowd, disappears. The next question comes from a Japanese journalist. Soft, respectful, something about the philosophy of the character. The moment passes. The machine continues. But something changed on that red carpet. Something shifted in how people saw David Carradine. He was not just the actor Tarantino rescued. He was the actor who refused to be rescued, who kept going when rescue seemed impossible, who turned 20 years of failure into the foundation for a single moment of triumph. Dumont wrote his review the next day. 3 paragraphs about Kill Bill. 1 paragraph about David Carradine. He wrote that Carradine's response revealed something about American persistence that French intellectuals often miss, that there is dignity in refusing to accept the verdict of critics. That sometimes the only difference between failure and success is the willingness to keep showing up. It was the closest Jean-Pierre Dumont ever came to an apology. David kept the clipping, framed it, hung it next to his Kill Bill poster. Not because he defeated a critic, because a critic finally understood. 20 years of failure was not failure. It was preparation for a question nobody knew would be asked. And when the question came, David was ready. Because he had been answering it every day for 2 decades. Every film nobody watched, every convention signing, every rejection letter. All of it was practice for the moment when someone finally asked if he deserved to be standing where he was standing. The answer was not yes. The answer was, I earned the right to find out. He once said that the hardest role he ever played was not Kane, not Bill, but himself. A man caught between what he pretended to be and what he wanted to become. And maybe that is why his story still resonates, because we all know that feeling, the gap between the mask and the face beneath it. Is there a moment in your life where someone saw through your mask, or a moment where you finally took it off yourself? David Carradine walked through Hollywood for 50 years, carrying questions most people never ask out loud, about authenticity, about legacy, about what it means to be real in a world that rewards pretending. If you want to know the real stories, the ones they did not put in the interviews, you are in the right place. We are peeling back the curtain on the man behind the monk. If this story moved you, hit that like button. It helps more people discover these untold moments. Do not forget to subscribe to David Carradine, The Untold Path. We are just getting started. There are stories about Bruce Lee, about the father who died in his arms, and about the Hollywood that tried to forget him. You do not want to miss what is coming next. Leave a comment below. What is your favorite David Carradine role? And did you know he carried this much weight behind the calm? I will see you in the next video. Walk the path.